Rock on. Well, welcome everyone. It is Tuesday once again. Welcome to Weekly Whiskey with John and Jay. Thanks so much for joining us. If you are drinking something awesome, if you're drinking something mundane, if you're drinking something terrible, go ahead and let us know what it is. John and I have a variety of things that we are drinking tonight, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well, buddy. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. It feels like a Thursday, Friday. It's been one of those weeks, but it's good to be online.
It's got a Thursday vibe to it. I could see that.
Man, it's been a weird week. I've gotten like a lot done and nothing at all, and it's just one of kind of those like limbos. But
yeah, it's a hellacious combo.
It is a hellacious combo, but it's better here because we got some drinks poured. We got a good time tonight. I'm looking forward to another chapter in our whiskey education series. But before we hit that, we have some our bourbon news. I'm excited. Let's see. Right now, our Smooth Ambler 5-year is selling. Last week, our Ezra Brooks Cast Strength, our Rebel Cast Strength, and our Milam and Green 13-year Dickel single barrel selection all sold out. So that was a good time. This week is actually kind of a low-key week. We talked mostly about updates, although we do have our Smooth Ambler going out. And next week, hopefully, our very first Wild Turkey of the year. Basically, at this point, I regret doing the sticker. I'm going to call it Phantom Bird because it's been lost in distribution for a couple of weeks now. But
perfect.
Man, this thing, it's the feathers are like right there. I can almost feel it. But we also announced wide. You guys heard it here first last Tuesday, but if you did miss it, our 12-year Camp Nelson A and our 10-year Dirty K barrel from Russell's Reserve as well, along with a whole host of other things. We've got blends coming. We've got 4 more Starlight coming, bringing us to a total of 12. So we have all sorts of finishes. The next couple of months are going to be absolutely crazy. And we got a couple of other things to taste up here coming soon. And last week, I'm trying to think, we did Westland recently. We did Heaven's Door here recently. Yep. We've done all sorts of stuff, left and right.
A lot of barrels coming through left and right, man. It's a little tough to keep it all sorted, but when they come in, they all drop in mass, and then everybody gets to buy good whiskey all at once. It's awesome.
Damn right. It's a good time. Check in. We will have more updates next Tuesday. This one's a little bit light, but if you missed it, go ahead and hop over to our bourbon. But I think that wraps up the single barrel news for this week. I know we have some more selections coming, but we'll keep those under wraps until we roll them out. So
yeah, until we have something more to talk about, something a little more to share.
Yeah, good to keep a little suspense.
Sure, I'm good with that.
A little jalapeno.
Oh, okay. Now, so tonight we're going to do a little bit of talking about ice. As the show is titled here, Whiskey Hits Rock Bottom. Of course, we're talking about whiskey on the rocks. And we're going to be discussing directional freezing to create what we call Gucci ice. And we're going to compare that to the traditional ice or ice tray or freezer ice, whatever it is that you may have kicking around, which is, totally fine if all you have is peasant ice, Jay. I won't hold it against you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough too, right? Like we hear a lot of people be like, "Oh, you just used like fridge ice." You go to a restaurant, you get that really crazy ice. You can see through it; it's clear. Some places even now will sell it. They will ship you frozen ice that's clear. I think it's crazy. Clearly, you can see which side of the envelope I'm on right now because I've got a big old iceberg in my Manhattan. But yeah, so what's the deal with ice, my friend?
Okay, so you've all, well, I guess I can't say everybody because regionally speaking, this may not be true to you, but let's say you've left a bucket of water or a planter or something outside, fills up with water, and then it freezes up. And you dump it out, and the whole top of it is a nice, perfectly clear disc of ice. It is perfectly flat. You can see right through it. It's almost like a sheet of glass. Ice like that is what we're looking for. It's you get this through directional freezing. There's an extremely scientific method of making this. I'll show it to you in just a few minutes. But it will yield ice that looks just like this.
Oh, shoot, man.
I've got just a single ice cube here in this glass. And you can see right through it. Just, it's been in here for about 20 minutes. I was bringing it up to tempering my ice, if you will. And you can see here that it's got a nice shine to it. Nice little bit of gloss.
Wow.
Okay. I have got another one here in a Manhattan, which will actually be
hold yours up for a second.
Slightly tough to see.
That's very different than my Manhattan.
I mean, you can't really tell there's ice in this.
Yeah, I would not know that you had ice whatsoever.
And so it's going to melt slower, dilute your drink less, and it's just visually appealing. On top of that, I've got one here in just a standard glass pour of whiskey.
Damn.
which you could
That's a
see.
Tuesday
You could
pour
see,
if I've ever seen one.
you could see that iceberg in there. That's enough whiskey and ice to sink the Titanic. So that'll get you through. So what we're talking about here is an extremely scientific method whereby an enterprising individual can fill a lunchbox, a cooler, full, maybe 80% full. Take my bag of ice out of here. Fill this thing up most of the way with water. You just tear the lid right off. You don't need the lid. Very simple. You shove this thing in your freezer.
Wait. Back up a sec. So you don't need the lid at all?
No lid. Not necessary.
You can tell how much Gucci ice I've made. Okay, so no lid, standard Coleman freezer. What are those run?
Yeah.
Like $20?
Less than $15 on Amazon, depending on when you catch them. I think this one is probably like $8 when I got it.
Okay.
So you're talking about water that I assume you already have access to, an $8 to $15 cooler. You put the water into the cooler. You put the cooler into the freezer. Then you wait. So there's a trick to this. And this is the most complicated part, is you'll need to find out with your freezer how long it takes. In the neighborhood of 18 to 22 hours, it will be frozen into a nice block of ice, but half of it will still be water. It may encapsulate the water. So you end up pulling out a whole block. So you just take this thing, you set it on a cutting board upside down. When the edges of it melt enough, the gigantic ice cube will drop out. You take a big ass knife, keep a bucket of hot water next to you. I use a big serrated bread knife. Keep the bread knife in the hot water. You score this thing evenly. And let's see here. You can sort of pop the back of it and all the water will drain out. And then you just carve it up into ice cubes.
Oh, man. Okay.
Whatever size you like. I like to make them pretty big because, I mean, when you're floating a rock solid 3 ounce or 4 ounce Manhattan, you want to have enough ice in there to actually chill this thing down and keep it that way. And it'll melt really slow anyway because there's really like no air bubbles. It's not going to crack and split up inside of your drink. Oh,
interesting. Okay. So it's clear because there's actually less impurity, like less air, less.
Bingo.
Okay. Interesting. For those who may have wondered, you can also buy molds on the internet. You can buy like fancy, expensive. Fun fact, I spent $30 on a spherical clear ice mold, but it has yet to show up, even though I ordered it with 2-day shipping 5 days ago. So I think the Coleman might be your good bet.
It's a damn shame that hadn't showed up because it would have been really great to see when you crack one of those spheres out of there and frustratingly find out that it is not clear.
Oh, am I in for like hardship there?
Yeah, I think you're going to experience a, at best, murky sphere of ice.
Really? Okay. So maybe we'll have to do a follow-up because I did try and go down the Gucci road myself. The Gucci road apparently is not for me because the molds were delivered literally a tricky road 2 minutes before this. But I mean, it's crazy. Like you mentioned, it melts slower. Like you can still kind of see that I have it in here, but this thing is at least 60% melted, and I popped it in 2 minutes before we went live. So 12 minutes ago.
Yep.
In a Manhattan, just a standard.
Right. Something that you've already stirred with ice. That, so the drink is cold when it goes into the glass.
Yeah. Cold drink, not fizzy. It's not heated. It's not like a toddy or anything.
Right.
Damn. Okay. So to recap real quick. So basically just Coleman, you need a Coleman, you need time, and you need a bread knife. That's the secret to Gucci Hive.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite literally all I've done with this is throw the water in there, freeze it up for about 20 hours, carve it up into the ice cubes the way I like. I mean, it made an entire gallon freezer bag full of ice.
No kidding.
See, I've got several large ice cubes. I'll take one out here.
That's actually impressive. So earlier today, I was researching some like mail order ice systems or like some liquor stores now. Oh, that's a good chunk. Yeah. Some liquor stores will sell, and it's to the tune of like $1.50 or $2 an ice cube, which literally one bag of ice cubes is going to be worth more than your entire setup. That is a chunk. That's an iceberg. And so, okay, so they're a little frosty on the outside. I bet that's just
it's just because they're not tempered.
Okay.
So when you make big fat chunks of ice like this, if you want to present them and have them look all fancy, just put them out ahead of time in a bowl. and let them. The outside will get that frost. It's like when you take a glass out of the freezer or something, and it gets all frosted up for a while.
Sure.
Then you give it 5 or 10 minutes, and that fades away. That's all you're gonna do with the ice. Just temper it, bring it out, let it sit for a few moments. It will. I mean, that's all I've done with this one here.
Okay, and that's clear as day.
Right, and you can see as it's so nothing went into this, so there's no nice cool cocktail sitting around this to help insulate it.
And that's
But
still,
it,
I mean,
just
that's
melts
melting so slow.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks nice, right?
It looks the best. I mean, one of my favorite things to do when I'm in town, when I'm in Kentucky, I love to go to Bardstown Bourbon Company. If I'm not getting their barrel aged Manhattan, I get their barrel aged old fashioned, and it's always got a huge clear ice cube with the Bardstown B like printed on the top. And I think that, like, you know, people, whether you like it or not, if you're going to pay 10, 12, 14, $18 for a cocktail, like that clear ice is, I feel like is just a nice touch, especially if it holds out longer.
This is actually a Bardstown Bourbon Company glass too. You're not gonna be able to see the logo, but again, I've got this delicious looking Manhattan with an iceberg in it.
Oh man, that looks so. I mean, it's just.
But, you know, I said it's delicious looking. I should probably try it.
I tried to do a clear. I did a favorite of mine is a Wild Turkey 101 in ginger, and like this thing just looks not like, you know. And this is a nice glass. This is the Norland Rock every tumbler. So this is like a $50 glass and just this big old chunk hanging
like a
out
9-cent ice cube. See, the best thing about this, Jay, it isn't that it makes me better than you, but it makes you think I'm better than you.
I mean, it's just like, you know, you go over to someone's house, if they're making you a cocktail, they throw in a nice clear ice. Like that is just the creme de la creme.
Yeah. It makes the experience better overall. And honestly, I mean, I don't drink my whiskey on the rocks very often. There are a few times here and there in the summer when I'm really in the mood for a whiskey, but it's just too fucking hot out. So rather than bypass the whiskey, I will throw in some ice. And it's pretty rare. I would say I might have done it once or twice at camp this year, and that would have been about it. But when you're in the mood for it, man, you just can't beat having a nice experience where you could set this thing down. And I'm doing it because it's hotter than hell outside.
Yeah.
So I want something that's going to stay cold and not be, you know, just turn into a watery mess. And I want it to look nice the whole time because the experience matters. As we've gone through in our whiskey education series, the glass matters. The mood you're in matters. Your tasting notes, the way you write them down, the way you perceive your whiskey sipping experience, all of these things add up to create the big picture. And when the big picture is not really dialed in right, it kind of takes away from it. So this for me is one of those pieces of the puzzle that kind of adds up in a way that is very hard to replicate.
That's a good point. And something I noticed too. So I've always been, you know, ice is ice, ice is cold. I'm not above fridge ice. But the one thing I noticed too when you're using like the properly sized cube is that this thing isn't like smashed into your face either, right? Like you try and my favorite thing to do is rocks to the rim with like Ancient Age or something. But like the whole time, like I got ice on my mustache. Like I'm trying to drink through like this whole mess of ice cubes that are all floating over. Like this, honestly, you know, a nice big clear cube is I would say actually easier. You know, it's keeping things cooler. It's actually easier to consume, especially if it's easier to make. You know, some people, you know, you think it's this huge process, especially if you watch other videos. But I agree, you know, adding to that experience is definitely it seems like, you know, like a worthwhile venture.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of videos you could watch on YouTube to find out like the best ways and whatnot to do this. And that's all great. You can absolutely find ways that are fine-tuned that'll probably yield you the easiest and best results. I would say grand total time invested in what I've got here in this gallon bag of ice. Try not to break anything. I would say the grand total investiture there is in the neighborhood of 10 minutes. And that includes filling it with water and putting it into the freezer, dumping it out and cutting it. I mean, there's really not a whole hell of a lot to it.
That's just crazy. I always thought it was this huge process. It's long, it's expensive. You know, you're going to cut off your arm and get something that's kind of foggy anyways. But for basically $10 and 10 minutes of time, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, there are great products out there if you want to take this a step further. Wintersmith is a brand that makes a clear ice maker, and that is a legit product. It does work. It is not $30 on Amazon. You will spend to make ice that way. And I believe the standard kit that they sell is either 2 or 4 cubes. Don't kill me for getting that wrong, Winter Smith, because I can't quite remember. And you can use a variety of shapes. You could do that to make a sphere, a cube. I think they even have like cylinders that'll do like ice cylinders
Oh,
for whatever
interesting.
reason, for like a Tom Collins or something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um,
That makes sense.
yeah, I mean, they've got a variety of stuff. That's, I think, one of the better products out there. There are some knockoffs of that product that I would probably not spend the money on when you can for about 10 minutes grand total. That 10 minutes is split across 2 days because one of the days is filling the cooler, putting it in the freezer. The next day is when you cut it.
Sure, but I mean, if you're having like a dinner party, right? Like people are coming. Hopefully, I mean, at least the way I do dinner parties, like if I'm having a bunch of people over, I probably know 24 hours in advance, and like
Right.
filling a thing with water, throwing in the freezer, coming back tomorrow seems like about the easiest part of the prep for having people over. By the time you grocery shop and prep some food and pull this out. So how long did it take you to cut it? Do you just pull this out, like an hour before you're planning to do cocktails and call it a day?
I would do it earlier than that. I would do it at
Okay.
lunchtime or so. So just take your cooler out of the freezer, flip it upside down on a cutting board,
Mhm.
preferably one like that you would use for carving up a roast or something. Something that's got a tray on the outside,
Sure.
because you're going to get melt. I mean,
Mhm.
there's going to be ice flying around. Keep a towel handy. I mean, these are all things that, as an enterprising individual who's making Gucci ice, you probably already know this. Keep a towel handy. It will help you out. But basically, just flip that cooler upside down, let it sit on the cutting board for a few minutes. It'll start to soften up. You can give the cutting board the old ROTC jackhammer to get that to drop right out if you need to. It'll fall out of the cooler. Or you could just, if you want to invest zero effort, just wait. It'll fall out when it's ready.
Mhm.
And then it's a simple matter of, if you've timed it right and not let this entire thing freeze, and you've still got water in it, then kind of break through that, let the water drain out, and then just start cutting up. It'll take
Okay.
you 5-ish minutes to cut it. Just go around and score it, with your big knife from the hot water. Score it the way you want it. And once you've scored all the sides of it, it'll just start breaking off into chunks. Easy.
Perfect. I love it, man. Well, that is super easy. I'm for those who are wondering, I have a tiny ass freezer. So I was like, John, all right, you do this cooler thing. I honestly, I had doubts. I've never made it before. I was like, I'll buy this tiny little mold that says it works just as well on Amazon. So I'll report back. We'll see how that goes. It's sitting on my porch right now. They even sent me a picture to rub it in. But if you have the freezer space, if you have $10, if you have 10 minutes, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't know how you could beat it, man.
And
Overall
honestly,
sipping experience through the roof.
Looks like ass compared to yours. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. And like I said, man, it doesn't make me better than you. It just makes you think I'm better than you. And that, for me, is really where it counts.
I mean, so I spend zero time making cocktails, right? Like this is even pre-batch, but like if I'm gonna have people over and make cocktails, why not go one step farther and just be like, all right, here's some nice ice too. I'm not gonna
Right on.
go through all this work, pull out good booze, pull out good vermouth, make a nice cocktail, and then like just dump a bunch of random ice in and hand it over.
Yeah, like the last thing I want to do is go make a delicious gold rush for somebody who's never had one, or maybe somebody I'm trying to convert to bourbon and be like, okay, listen, I'm going to make you a cocktail. It's going to be great. Check it out. I'm not going to throw a bunch of half moon fucking freezer ice in there that looks like dog shit. I'm going to put in something nice to make the overall experience look great. And then they're going to say, man, it's never as good when I try to make these at home, which is how I feel every time I go someplace and have a cocktail. I'm like, man, these are always so much better than when I try to make them. I think part of it is just the experience. Somebody makes you a nice drink, comes in the appropriately sized glass with a big iceberg of Gucci ice. Boom.
Can't beat it. I mean, I just came back from a week in Kentucky. Every cocktail, clear ice, felt like king of the world, ordering it better than home. I didn't have to do any work. Great ice. Looked fantastic. Can't beat it.
All right. Well, I think we'll tuck this one into the Whiskey Education Series playlist, and hopefully you guys check these out and enjoy some of these tips that we're putting together to try to elevate your whiskey sipping experience.
Definitely. So if you, in recap, if you have 10 minutes, $10, and you don't mind using a knife, go ahead and try this out. Let us know how it works. Let us know if it's good, bad, if you like clear ice. If you don't, go ahead and subscribe and give it a like if you enjoyed this. But if you're looking for more from John, you can find him at the Bourbon Finder. He is on Instagram and his website doing reviews, fun stuff. If you really like cherries, cocktails, check out his cherry series as well. John is kind of I won't call him king of the cocktail, but he puts a lot more thought and effort into clearly than I do. So go ahead and check him out there. I am Jay from whiskeyraiders.com. We are the Rotten Tomatoes of whiskey. We'd love to have you stop by and check us out. We're writing news, reviews, articles every single day. It's a really good time. And together we are Weekly Whiskey. So check us out back here on a Tuesday night for our live stream. Check us out on a Thursday for After Hours. And if you like what you do and want to support our show, go ahead and check us out at patreon.com/thewhiskeynet. So we hope to see you guys again. Thursday, we got a great episode. We've got some really cool stuff coming. September is going to be a really big month for us. But in the meantime, I'm just going to throw this ice out and go get myself a cooler because
now you're talking.
I feel inferior, my friend.
That's all I care about.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys.